Alrighty folks, welcome back. We are here with another weekly video for Back to Divinity. So for this week's topic, I'm super excited. We're going to be talking a little bit about the divine feminine and masculine polarity, right? I'm just going to give some of the important things that I want to list off before we even dive into unpacking them. It's very important that we understand that the masculine and the feminine energies have nothing to do with gender. Gender is a societal thing that we have constructed as a society, but masculine and feminine energies are separate from our understanding of gender, at least in the spiritual community, at least for my understanding of how it relates to spirituality. The reality is that the feminine and masculine energies are things that we all have within ourselves. So similar to the concepts of duality that I have brought up with Back to Divinity, we each all hold masculine and feminine energies. Now, there are times where one of the energies are more potent than the other one within oneself. So there are times where I'll notice that I am more in my masculine energy, and then there are other times where I'll notice that I'm more in my feminine energy. But super important to understand that the goal is always to balance them both, because that is when you are your most strongest, right? When you can balance both. However, it's really difficult, right? Because there are times where we may be, raised to be a little bit more in our masculine energy, or based off of how we grew up, we may be more inclined to be more in our feminine energy, right? And it just depends, right? And so we're going to unpack a little bit here what these energies embody and things of that sort, and kind of some trends that I've noticed, just to throw them out there. So the way that at least I like to understand masculine and feminine energies, again, I'm going to bring astrology into it. When I think about masculine energy, right, I think about the sun, Leo energy. And when I think about feminine energy, I think about the moon, Pisces energy. You can throw Cancer into the moon sign as well. But for the sun, Leo, right? The sun is vibrant. It catches the attention as soon as you walk in. It is big, right? It is the sun. Now, masculine energy. Why do I attribute that to Leo energy? Let's unpack Leo energy. So Leo energy is represented by the lion, right? It just has bigger features, right? But also Leo energy is very go-getter, more like out there, right? More expressive, right? And things of that sort. When we think about how masculine energy has been represented in society till this day, it's, strength, right? Strength is Leo energy. It is leadership, right? That is Leo energy. That is the lion, right? Things of that sort. Like being more seen, right? And we know that masculine energy has been more seen in society, right? And then Pisces and Cancer energy, which is more of the moon, the more feminine energy. Those are the more, when you're tapping more into your emotions, right? Your moon represents the emotions. That is more of the nurturing side. That is more of the intuitive side, right? Things of that sort. So I can dive in and go in all about Leo energy and all about Pisces and Cancer energy, but it's less about the zodiac signs and what they represent, and more about how those zodiac signs are connected to those planets and what those planets represent, right? Because when we think about duality, a lot of the times we've all seen the symbol of the crescent moon and the sun together. They are a level of duality, right? Such as the yin and yang and things of that sort. So that is how I reference that masculine, that feminine energy that exists within all of us. I like to think of the Twitches movie where we have one twin that represents the moon and one twin that represents the sun. Both gender-wise represent a woman, right? But both of them actually exist in different polarities. One of them is the masculine and the other one is the feminine, and it's very clear in their dynamic, right? And so it's very interesting to see how this polarity exists within oneself, but also how it often exists in partnerships on a day-to-day, right? And so the goal, like I said, is always to have that balance of that energy within oneself, right? Because we all possess both. However, there are times where we may be embodying one energy more likely in our life and then probably switch over to the next or move in between both energies throughout our lifetimes. So let's dive in to some of the patterns that I have noticed. And I'll start with myself, right? I myself really moved within the feminine energy for a while. In the beginning of my childhood, I feel like I represented the more feminine qualities, the Pisces and the Cancer energy. I was the moon, right? I was a little bit more quiet and not as expressive. I was more in my emotions, but internally, again, not expressive about it. And I definitely was a nurturer, a really big nurturer. Now, it got to a point at some point in my childhood where I did start to become super hyper independent as a result of my circumstances. And I did completely do a switch up where I tucked away the feminine qualities and I quickly jumped into the more masculine qualities. And I started to become more expressive, taking on leadership roles, and just honestly really felt like I struggled to receive. That is one of the hardest parts about when you're fully in your masculine and you've stepped away from the feminine, is that struggle to receive, because you feel like you have to be the one to provide in every single way, shape, or form. And you don't want to depend on anyone because you're fully in that. So this is the problem with when you are embodying one part without the other, right? So like I said, growing up, I was intuitive and I was in my emotions, but then I didn't have the masculine quality to express those. I didn't have the leadership quality to put myself out there in the way that I needed to, right? It took me a while to get there. I think I remember when I was younger, I got in front of a crowd and like for the first time and completely like cried out of fear. But look at me now, right? Like we have come to a point where we have worked on that. But that is the problem with the way that I grew up. I never had a balance of both, right? It was always one overpowering the other in a way that didn't allow for me to be the best person that I can be, right? The goal is to balance both within yourself. And so there are definitely times where, again, I was more in the feminine and then I switched and I became super into the masculine energy. Now, this is actually a trend that I have noticed with a lot of female identifying people in my life. I will say that a lot of the women around me have started to embody more masculine energies in a way where we are not cultivating that balance that we need with the feminine energies, right? And so it's super important that even though we should strengthen our more masculine energies, that we find a way to cultivate that in union with our feminine energies. And I think I'm just starting to get there. I have been challenged this year to rely more again on my intuition, to rely more again on my willingness to receive, to be okay with being in my emotions, right? That has been something that I have had to step back into. And now I'm in a way trying to find a union within myself for the both of them, right? Allowing both of those energies to coexist because it brings a much brighter faith, right? Because having one energy over the other ends up lacking in some way, shape, or form in something that I need to be the best person that I can be. And that goes for everyone, right? So I definitely challenge you to think about, how have you embodied these energies in your lifetime? When were you more of one energy over the other? And how is it that you can start to challenge yourself to find a union between both? How is it that you can start to embody the divine masculine and the divine feminine within yourself? Get that complete yin and yang energy going. How can you get there? Because it'll bring you so much more positive experiences, right? Because you're in a way finding such a strong balance that puts you in your element, and therefore when you approach other people, they see you in that element because you are in that union within yourself. Once you are in that union within yourself, it is a lot easier for you to attract the folks that are also in union with themselves, right? And that brings such a more balanced dynamic when it comes to any of your relationships in life, especially romantic, especially family, right? Those are the things that you want to think about, right? Because at the end of the day, your willingness to express your emotion, your willingness to feel your emotion, your willingness to receive, right? Those are all things that can only happen when you have that balance of both energies. And those are all important things in a relationship, right? And so it's super important, again, that you are finding that balance within yourself so that you can then exert that energy out and hopefully call in that same balanced energy, because that is the goal, right? And again, there may be in relationship dynamics where you might find one person, again, embodies one of the signs slightly more than the other person, and hopefully it works in a polarity. But ultimately, the idea is not that in a dynamic there is one masculine energy and one feminine energy. The idea is that they work the best when they are in union, right? And again, it reminds me of Twitches. They, yes, embody their energy separately, but they could not be as powerful until they came together in union to embody both of those energies together, right? And so it's important that, again, looking for union outside of yourself begins with looking for union inwards, right? Finding that divine masculine and that divine feminine energy within yourself to then call that in externally, right? And so again, that was just a quick little snippet of divine masculine, divine feminine energy, using Pisces, Cancer, Leo energy to sort of help unpack what those energies represent, right? But again, it is not about gender. It is fully about how you're embodying those qualities in its most divine form, right? Within yourself in a very balanced way, right? I challenge you to work on union within yourself, and you will start to see that called in your life externally. Good luck, folks. And I look forward to the next week's video. See ya.